This is for Bob. We got together on the deck of the pool for the first time at the 1964 Olympic trials, really unusual trials when you look at it today. This was all the aquatic sports in Astoria Park Pool in New York City. So it covered swimming, diving, water polo, and synchro. And it was an amazing experience when you saw about an 80-year-old guy get up on the 10-meter tower and enter, and they had to finally stop the meet because he was flying all over the property. And this is true, he was an entrant. And anyhow, Bob and I spoke there for the first time, actually, before we got together at Indiana. But I know his background very well. He started a country club swim league. He literally started at the bottom of the coaching rung. But the league he was in the western suburbs of Chicago, was highly competitive. And he came out of one of the more competitive teams at Hinsdale Golf Club, which eventually produced several Olympians, John Kinsella, John Murphy. Bob was a diver. He lost in the diving competition in the country club swim league to Ken Sitzberger, who won the gold in Japan. So he had an auspicious and inauspicious beginning. He has a great background all the way through, from country club swim league to high school to club to university to College Swim Coaches Association of America. He's a great swimming coach, and more importantly, he's a great mentor to the young people who have swum and competed for him. So it's a great pleasure for myself and Jimmy to introduce him, but let's have Jimmy say a little bit more.
One thing that struck me early on in my years at Northwestern when I first started with Bob was the number of athletes that referred to him as coach as opposed to Bob. And after several years of not only hearing it, but feeling it, and not just coach as in the guy that writes the workouts and leads them, but coach is in terms of admiration and respect and, I mean, true love that these guys showed over the years. Especially Eric Hansen, who's out here with us today. It was always coach, and it was always said with such great feeling and emotion whenever he would see Bob Groseth. Years ago, I came across a book by the great coach John Wooden that was titled "They Call Me Coach." And I wondered if there were similarities between John Wooden and Bob Groseth. So I looked into the book and I came up with a couple of quotes by former players of his, and I wanted to see if that matched up with the Bob Groseth I know. First one, make others' lives better. Check. Taught life while coaching the players at UCLA, at Northwestern. Check. Taught the ability to learn how to learn. Big check. The joy and happiness in his life comes in the success of others. Check. The great Bill Walton described his coach as, he was there with us each and every day, pushing, shaping, molding, challenging, driving us to be better. That is Bob Groseth. And the amazing thing about Bob to me was that he could coach them all. He could coach the intelligent ones. He can coach the stubborn ones. He can coach the non-athletes. He can coach just the plain weird guys that came onto the pool. And in the early days at Northwestern, that was the majority of the athletes on the team. But he led them, shaped them, just like Coach Wooden. And in my eyes, he's one of the greatest people to ever walk or grace the pool deck, because his athletes loved him dearly, and he made them better each and every day. Please welcome Coach Bob Groseth.
Okay, I have notes. I told Jimmy and Jack to keep it short, and I will do the same. I've been up here when it wasn't that way. So I know what you're feeling out there. So first of all, I'm very honored to be up here. I can think of a lot of other people, including some of the people that just introduced me, that may be more deserving. But no one feels better about being recognized by his peers and humble at the same time more than I do. I had a big party last night over at Antoine's where I had all people that were my former coaches, which we found out included 42 different colleges and universities, and also former swimmers. And I told them that I'm not going to recognize you guys because that's what I did last night. So they're out there. My family's out here. Former swimmers, assistant coaches sitting over here. Thank you guys for coming. We had a great time last night. And what I want to do is just, talk about a few of the coaches that, and I'm going to pick out 3 at the beginning. And I want to talk about coaching. Coaching is a craft, okay? Do I feel like a Hall of Fame coach? Not really, but I feel like a coach that has really worked on his craft and tried to make myself better. The first coach I had, as Jack mentioned, is Dick Kaiser at the Hinsdale Country Club. Okay, he made the sport fun. He made the sport fun. The second coach that really was inspirational was Jerry Farmer, our high school coach. They built a pool my sophomore year. He came in and said, we're going to win the state meet. And 3 years later, the year after I graduated, by the way, they won the state. And the same thing had happened in Indiana. When I was in Indiana after I graduated, they won the NCAAs the next year. So that tells you something. Okay, and the third one, obviously the biggest one, was Doc Councilman. Okay. I was privileged as a coach, okay? There's a statement that if we fail to learn from the people that went before us, that strove before us, that tried to make themselves better before us, if we fail to learn from those, then we're lesser people because of it, okay? So one of the things that I've done all the way through is try and learn, okay? Obviously, Doc was a huge influence on me. I got to see Matt Mann coach. I got to see Mike Pepe coach. I got to see Bob Kippeth pound the ground to rhythm strokes up in the old pool at Yale. Okay? I got to see Coach Sakamoto, number 1 stroke, number 2 stroke. Okay? I got to see these guys that inspired the coaches that came after him. Okay? Doc was obviously a big one. Going to practice every day with Doc was like going to a seminar every day. He always had other coaches there, Forbes Carlisle, all these great coaches. Those guys would come to Doc's practices and sit at their side, and I'm just sitting there listening to them talk, absorbing it in, okay? So Doc was obviously a big influence on me. Then I went to Fenwick High School, and we had great coaches there. Not only swimming coaches, but football coaches, basketball coaches. Bill Shea was, Ed Galvin, and, one of the guys that really influenced me and got me into college coaching was Dan O'Brien. The record there, the high school record there, I was doing really well in high school. We were coaching in the Chicago Catholic League. We won 5 national championships and stuff like that. And I'd sat down with Dan one day and said, boy, I was talking about Tony Lawless, who was our athletic director, and I said, you know, Tony's really had a lot of experience. He's been at Fenwick 35 years. And he said to me, he hasn't had a lot of experience. He's just had the same experience 35 times. And that was like, bong. That really inspired me and got me to start looking into college coaching. And that's when I went to the University of Cincinnati. And there we had a great football coach, Tony Mason, basketball coach, Gail Catlett. I got to watch those guys coach, okay? And then even here in New Orleans, I coached a year at Tulane. Larry Smith was the football coach. I got to watch him coach his teams, okay? Then at Iowa State, Earl Bruce, Johnny Orr, football and basketball coaches, I got to watch those guys. A couple of kids here took my advanced coaching technique class, and part of the class was that we would go out and observe other coaches and then talk about what made them better. I think that's you know, one of the things that I've always tried to do: study other coaches, try and get better. Okay, that's how I've developed my craft. Okay, pay it forward. Okay, 2 stories. Okay, one, I'm a sophomore or junior, and Jack mentioned it in '64. I actually had, the year before, Doc had kind of missed on a couple recruits, and we had, you know, there were a couple guys up in the Chicago area, Steve Borowski and Brian Bateman. I said, these guys are pretty good. Maybe, you know, you ought to recruit those guys. And at the same time, he was looking for an assistant coach. The guy who was coaching those guys was Jack Pettinger. Jack Pettinger then came to Indiana, and a couple of years after that, Jack, who was a graduate of Fenwick High School, helped me get the job at Fenwick. Second story, Kathy Wickstrand-Gahan, a lot of you know her. She's a great coach at Northwestern. I mean, talk about somebody who could whip up a team and get them in a competitive frenzy. She was the best. She could really do it, okay? But I remember sitting down with her in Fresno, California, and she was trying to get the job at Northwestern, and we wrote out on this paper napkin, you know, this is what you need to do, this, and this. She still has that paper napkin, okay? She got the job. A year later, they were looking for a men's coach. Guess who got the job? Okay? Pay it forward, okay? Help people out, and they're going to help you out, okay? 3 coaches that were really inspirational as I was growing up as a coach, swimming coaches, okay? Obviously, the biggest one was Doc, because he was my coach. But Peter Dalen was the first person that offered me a job, because, you know, we're at a swim meet. He came up to me. He says, I've been watching the last couple of years. You know, you're the manager at Indiana. And he said, I want you to come out to California. I'm going to help you get a job and things like that. And Peter was, those guys really were interested in making the sport better and getting good people into the sport, okay? George Haynes, I remember going to calling him up. You know, my brother lived out in California. I said, you know, I'm going to visit my brother. Is it okay if I come and watch your practice? Yeah, come on out. He couldn't have been nicer. I got to see George flip the chairs. I got to see that routine. So, you know, there are a lot of coaches here, okay, that want you to be better coaches, okay? It's your job. It's the youth's job to replace the coaches that you're looking up to and do a better job. And we want to help you do that, okay? We want to help you become better coaches. Don't be afraid to ask, and we'll do anything we can to help you, okay? But, you know, I know I can speak for Don, Penny, and those, and I'm still out there coaching, okay? We'll help you in any way you can, but when you're on the deck going against our swimmers, better bring your A game, because we're still doing. I'm very honored to win this award. I want to thank ASCA, the board of directors. Just one more plug. A few years ago, I took over the job as the director of the College Swim Coaches Association, and we were in a bad way, And the first person I went to get help was John Leonard. John Leonard has helped us all the way through. We're in a much better position now. He lent us Matt Hooper. Matt has been fantastic in helping us out. Thank you, John. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, ASCA.